Have you ever felt shy when speaking English? Maybe you know the words in your head, but when you open your mouth, nothing comes out. Maybe you feel nervous, afraid of making mistakes, or afraid people will laugh. If this sounds like you are not alone. Many English learners feel the same way. I remember a friend who wanted to speak English. He studied many books. He knew many grammar rules. But when he spoke to someone, he froze. His face became red. His heart beat fast. And he could only say, "Hello." He felt very sad and thought, maybe I will never speak English well. But here is the secret. You do not need to study for 3 hours a day. You do not need to memorize 1,000 words in one night. You only need small daily habits. Just a few minutes every day can change everything. In today's story, you will learn how small habits helped one learner become confident in English. And maybe this story can help you too. So, are you ready? Let's begin. Part 1. The Problem. Daniel wanted to speak English well. This was his big dream. He wanted to travel to other countries. He wanted to get a good job. He wanted to make friends from around the world. For Daniel, English was the key to a new life. But Daniel had a problem. Every time he tried to speak English, he felt shy. He felt his face turn red. His hands shook a little. He could hear the words in his head, but his mouth stayed closed. When he finally spoke, the words came out slowly. Sometimes the words were wrong. Sometimes he forgot them completely. Daniel often thought, why is this so hard? I know the words. I study the grammar, but when I speak, everything disappears. This thought made him feel very sad. He compared himself to other people. He saw classmates speaking more easily. He thought, maybe they are smart. Maybe I am not. Maybe English is too difficult for me. One day, Daniel went to a cafe with his friend. There was a tourist sitting at the next table. The tourist asked Daniel for help. He said, "Excuse me, do you know where the bus station is?" Daniel understood the question. He knew the answer. He had passed that bus station many times. But when he opened his mouth, no words came out. His heart beat faster and faster. His mind was empty, like a blank page. After a long silence, his friend answered the question instead. Daniel felt embarrassed. He thought, I am so stupid. I knew the answer, but I could not say it. Maybe I will never speak English. That night, he went home and sat on his bed. He remembered all the times he had studied. He remembered the long hours of writing grammar rules in his notebook. He remembered the many lists of vocabulary he had memorized. But still, he could not speak. He felt tired. He felt like giving up. Daniel is not the only person with this problem. Maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you also study hard, but when you try to speak, you freeze. Maybe you know many English words, but they hide when you need them. Maybe you also feel shy, nervous, or afraid of making mistakes. If yes, then you understand Daniel very well. This is the problem many English learners face. They study a lot, but they don't feel confident. They know the words, but the words don't come out. It feels heavy, it feels difficult, and slowly they start to think, maybe English is impossible for me. But Daniel's story does not end here. In the next part, something happens that changes his mind. Something simple, something small. And it will show us that English is not impossible. Part 2. The Advice. One afternoon,
Daniel sat in his English class. He looked tired. His eyes were heavy. His notebook was full of grammar rules and long vocabulary lists, but his heart felt empty. The teacher noticed him. She walked closer and said, "Daniel, what is wrong?" Daniel looked down and whispered, "Teacher, I study so much. I read the books. I write the words. But when I speak, I cannot say anything. I feel like I am not good at English." The teacher smiled kindly. She said, "Daniel, you are not bad at English. You are just learning in a difficult way." Daniel looked surprised. He asked, "What do you mean?" The teacher pulled out a small notebook from her bag. It was simple, only a few pages. She showed Daniel a page. On it were just 3 words written in English. "Every day," she said, "I write 3 new words, only 3, not 30, not 50, just 3. I read them, I use them, and slowly I remember them." Daniel frowned. 3 words? Only 3? But I study 50 words in one night. The teacher laughed gently. "Yes, but do you remember them after 1 week?" Daniel thought for a moment. He shook his head. "No, I forget most of them." The teacher said, "That is the problem. You try to do too much in one day. You feel tired, you feel stressed, and then you stop. But if you do a small thing every day, you will grow stronger." Daniel was curious now. He asked, "So what should I do?" The teacher leaned closer and said, "Don't study for many hours in one day. Study for a few minutes every day. 10 minutes is enough." Daniel's eyes grew wide. 10 minutes? That is nothing. Can 10 minutes really help me? The teacher nodded. Think about water. 1 drop is very small, but if drops fall every day, the cup will become full. Your English is the same. Small steps every day make a big change. Daniel sat quietly. He thought about his past. He remembered the nights when he stayed awake with books, studying for hours. He remembered how he forgot most of the words after a few days. Maybe the teacher was right. Maybe small steps were better than big jumps. The teacher gave him simple advice. Listen to 1 short English story every morning. Repeat 1 English sentence every day. Learn only 3 new words in 1 day. That is enough. Just do it every day. Do not stop. Daniel still felt unsure. It sounded too easy. Could small habits really change his English? He decided to try. He told himself, "Maybe this will not work, but I will try for 1 week, just 1 week." And with that decision, Daniel's journey began. Part 3. The Small Habits. The next morning, Daniel woke up early. He remembered his teacher's words, "Do small things every day." He felt a little nervous, but he wanted to try. He went to the bathroom to brush his teeth. While brushing, he played a short English story on his phone. The story was only 2 minutes long. At first, Daniel thought, "This is too easy. It will not help me." But he kept listening. He heard words he already knew. He also heard some new words. The story was short, but it made him smile. When he finished brushing his teeth, he thought, "That was not hard. I can do this again tomorrow." The next day, Daniel was on the bus to school. Usually, he just looked out the window or scrolled on his phone. But that day, he opened a small notebook. He wrote 5 new English words. Just 5, not 20, not 50, only 5. He read them slowly. Travel, job, dream, learn, speak. He whispered the words while the bus moved. Other people on the bus did not care. No one even noticed. For the first time, Daniel felt that learning could be simple. On the 3rd day, Daniel tried something new. Before breakfast, he stood in front of the mirror. He looked at himself and said one English sentence out loud. "I am learning English every day." His voice sounded strange at first. He laughed a little. But then he said the sentence again and again. The more he said it, the more natural it felt. Every day, Daniel did one small habit. Sometimes he listened to a short story. Sometimes he learned 3 or 5 words. Sometimes he repeated a simple sentence. Each habit took only a few minutes. It was not difficult. It was not stressful. And because it was small, he could always finish it. After 1 week, Daniel felt proud. He had never studied like this before. In the past, he always tried to do too much. He always got tired. He always stopped. But now, the habits were so small that he could continue. And every time he finished one habit, he felt happy. He told himself, "I did it. I am learning English." Sometimes Daniel was busy. Sometimes he had homework. Sometimes he had no energy. But still, he did one small thing. Even if it was just listening for 2 minutes, even if it was just saying one word, he never stopped. Day by day, the habits grew stronger. Daniel began to wait for them. He looked forward to his short story in the morning. He enjoyed learning a few words on the bus. He even liked speaking one sentence in the mirror. These habits were small, yes, but they were powerful. And soon, Daniel would see a big change. Part 4. The Change. 1 month passed. Every day, Daniel kept his promise. He listened to one short story. He learned a few new words. He spoke one sentence in front of the mirror. It didn't feel big, but it was something he could always finish. At first, Daniel didn't notice much change. He thought, maybe this is too small. Maybe it is too slow. But then, something surprising happened. One morning, he was listening to an English story on the bus. The story used a word he remembered from last week, dream. This time, he didn't need to translate it. He understood it right away. He smiled to himself and thought, wow, I know this word now. Later, in his class, the teacher asked a question. Usually, Daniel stayed quiet, but that day, he felt a little brave. He raised his hand and answered with one short sentence. It was not perfect, but the teacher understood. And more importantly, Daniel felt proud. After 2 months, Daniel noticed something new. When people spoke English on TV, he could catch more words. Not all the words, but more than before. He didn't feel lost anymore. He started to believe, maybe I can really learn this language. After 3 months, Daniel's habits became part of his life. He didn't even think about them. Listening to a story in the morning felt natural. Learning 3 new words on the bus felt normal. Speaking one sentence in front of the mirror felt easy. It was like brushing his teeth. Simple, daily, automatic. Then, after 6 months, something big happened. Daniel was walking in the park when he saw a tourist. The tourist looked confused and asked in English, "Excuse me, do you know where the train station is?" 6 months ago, Daniel froze when a tourist asked him a question. His mind went blank. But this time, Daniel smiled. He answered clearly, "Yes, go straight and then turn left. The station is near the bridge." The tourist said, "Thank you so much." Daniel nodded and walked away. His heart was beating fast, but not from fear. It was from joy. He thought, "I did it. I spoke English. I helped someone. I was not afraid." At that moment, Daniel realized something important. His small habits had changed him. He was not the same shy student anymore. He was growing, he was confident, and he was speaking real English in real life. From that day, Daniel believed in the power of small daily habits. They gave him the courage to keep learning. They gave him results he could feel, and they showed him that fluency is possible, step by step, day by day. Part 5. The Lesson for You. Daniel's story shows us something important. Small daily habits can change everything. He did not study for 3 hours in one day. He did not memorize hundreds of words in one night. He only did small things every single day. And little by little, those small things grew into big results. He listened to one short story. He learned just a few words. He spoke one simple sentence. It did not feel like much at the time, but after weeks and months, the change was clear. Maybe you feel like Daniel in the beginning. Maybe you study hard but still feel shy. Maybe you know many words but cannot use them. Maybe you freeze when you try to speak. If yes, you are not alone. Many learners feel this way. But Daniel's story is proof that you do not need to be perfect. You only need to be consistent. You only need small, daily habits. Think about your day. Do you brush your teeth every morning? Do you drink tea or coffee at the same time? Do you check your phone before bed? These are habits. They are small, but you do them every day. And because you repeat them, they are powerful. English can be the same. Imagine listening to a short story while brushing your teeth. Imagine learning 3 new words while riding the bus. Imagine saying one English sentence while looking in the mirror. It only takes a few minutes, but if you repeat it every day, it becomes strong. Remember the teacher's example. One drop of water is very small, but if drops fall every day, the cup will become full. Your English is the same. Every small action adds more and more until one day you are fluent. You don't need to wait for motivation. You don't need to wait for free time. You don't need to wait until you are ready. Start today with one small habit. Maybe you will listen to this story again tomorrow. Maybe you will write one new word in your notebook. Maybe you will say one English sentence before bed. Whatever it is, make it small, make it simple, make it daily. If Daniel can do it, you can do it too. He was not special. He was just consistent. He showed up every day, even for a few minutes, and that made all the difference. So now it is your turn. What small English habit will you start today? Think about it. Choose one. Write it in the comments below, and tomorrow do it again. Day by day, you will grow. Step by step, you will change. And one day, you will look back and say, "Wow, I can really speak English now."